Welcome to Unbreakable Latina.
Hi guys, welcome back to Unbreakable Latina. We have Angela back. Welcome back.
Thank you. I know it's been a while I've been back. So.
I don't even remember how long it's been.
Me either, but definitely on this healing journey.
Healing girl era. So we were talking earlier, which we always do before we start the podcast, and we realized that we were little bitter bitches back in the day. Bitter about our healing era, and we just want to talk about it. So let's catch up. Angela, what you been up to?
Oh my god. Well, let's see. Healing journey 2023. I think, what was the last episode? Just talking about Mexico and dating and vision boards, right?
To be honest, To be honest, I don't even remember what I think we were talking about how we just did a vision board and what your plans were for. Did you come back from Mexico at that time?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you had your new job. You were starting it.
It's been a long.
I don't know. We've been through a lot this year, guys. We manifested this year of like, oh my God, we're going to have the best year ever. We're going to have a hot girl summer and healing girl summer too. But it definitely was healing more than hot because we haven't done hot as in temperature. Yes, we're sweating right now. But as far as healing, how do you feel like the difference from Angela in December to the difference in Angela right now, which we're September 3rd, right?
Yeah. So definitely a lot of growth. I think like from our last episode, you and I did our vision boards. We were just talking about everything we put on our vision boards, we've done. So that concept of manifestation is, I back it up 100%.
I know. I didn't believe her because I was like, all right, I'll do this. And my sister talks so much about manifesting and doing the vision boards. And I'm like, that shit ain't true. I'm not a true believer. But like I talked about on last week's episode, because I recorded it this morning, but I talked about how a lot of the stuff that we put on that board has come true. How about for you? Like how many things? All of it?
Like, I wanted to get healthy, get into Pilates. I wanted to work remotely in Mexico, which I've done a few times. I wanted to... What else? Like, I need my board right now, but I was just telling you everything. So, I think on that aspect of, like, personal, like, goals, like, I've accomplished. In January, also, like, you and I wanted to go on like this dating spree and all that, and we were just like, it's weird, you and I like share similar experiences at the same time. Like something will happen to me and then it's like, oh, you're going through the same thing. Cool.
Remember I told you this is how I felt. I was like, I get you now, I get you, girl.
And so like I think December, February, like I was just so fed up with men that like I got rid of my roster.
Getting rid of the roster is hard. Like I had gotten rid of my roster before her, and when she got rid of hers, I was just like, once we went to Mexico, huh? We hadn't done an episode since we came back from Mexico?
No, in January we did. Oh, no, we didn't.
Because we went in April. We went for those 2 weeks. And you guys, we had the best time ever. I think we bonded even more as friends because we went through so much shit. We went through, was it the earthquake? No, there was an earthquake. We were at this bar and all of a sudden everybody was like, oh my God, like the alarm went off and then our flights got delayed. I wanted to fight the Aeromexico people because they were being so mean to me.
That's happened to us a couple of times.
Yeah, and Aeromexico was supposed to be like the better one, but yeah, these ladies were trying to catch these hands.
I was there on the sidelines. But yeah, so got rid of my roster, and because I thought like, why do I have these men in my life if it's just a continuous thing? Like I don't talk to them for a while, then they come back, and it's like I just need to
focus on myself
and just like not meet somebody new.
And then remember when we went to Mexico, we said we're going to go on dates. And you had a date lined up.
Oh my gosh.
Sorry to put you on the blast, but
this was like also another like push towards meeting somebody new. So when I was in Mexico, I met my tour guide and he asked me for my number, right? And he's like, hey, when you come back, are you here often? I said, yeah. He's like, I'm going to take you out on a date. I said, cool. I'll be back in April. So I told Melina, I was like, hey, I'm probably have a date.
She's like, why don't you set some dates up? And I was like, you know what? Yes. Oh, we have to talk about what happened with my Hinge. Where I put that I was a man.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, keep going.
So he would text me like every like couple of weeks to make sure, hey, you're coming these dates, right? I'm like, yeah. Okay, cool. Even when I got there, he's like, hey, you're here, right? I even told him, right? He's like, okay, cool.
You're like, you follow me on Instagram, you know I'm here. I already put that down. I already told you I'm here. I'm a woman of my word.
Exactly. So long story short, nothing came out of that. He kept checking in that I was there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm here.
I'm still here. And when is our date?
So I stopped responding. And what is that? May, June, July, August, September. It's been 5 months. And he actually slid in my DMs a couple of weeks ago. And
What did he say?
He's like, hey, whenever you're back, like, can I see you? And I said, why? And he goes, because I would like to see you. I said, why? Because like last time I told you I was here and nothing came out.
You told him that? You hadn't told me
yeah.
this? Good job.
And he's like,
I'm so proud of you.
Perdón, I was sick, blah, blah, blah. And I just left him on red.
Good job.
You know? Just wasting my time. So going back to clearing out the roster, right? You and I were both going through it. It's because like we always have something going on. Like talking to so-and-so.
I literally like haven't been this single in so long.
Since 6th grade.
Back in my day. No, like there was always someone around, you know, if it was like even for texting or something.
Yeah,
but this time I'm like, I'm not interested in anybody. Like, and whoever has tried, like, they haven't done a good job to keep me interested.
No, seriously, you know, and it took some time to get used to that. You're like, hey, I have nobody to text, but like,
you have me, bitch.
I know we text each other, you know, but like,
but it's not the same.
Well, like shifting that energy inward. So like having that time and space to be like, think. I have nothing going on. I started going to therapy.
How has that been for you? Which I'm so proud of her, guys, because I've been telling her to go for the longest time and she finally listened.
She has been telling me. Honestly, it's the best thing I've ever done. Like I would always go back and forth like, I don't need it. No, these are just normal problems, but that's a generational trauma thing, you know, being Latino is like,
you can handle it.
Really that popular.
There's people that have it worse.
Yeah, exactly. So started doing that and it's hard, but honestly, I've seen the growth in myself where it's like things that I've like neglected throughout my years that I've just been too busy to deal with. Like,
and you're dealing with them and feeling them.
Yeah.
Like that's what's scary about healing. Because a lot of people always ask me like, oh, like, why do you recommend everyone to go on the healing journey? It's because I think we keep busy. Like Angela and I both went to school. All we knew was school, work, and just, you know, like hanging out with our friends and stuff. And now that we have our careers, we don't have to go to school anymore. We're kind of stable.
Right.
And we are. We're stable. Like now you have time to think. You don't have a person like in your life that distracts you, like a significant other. And I think that was the hardest challenge for us in the beginning of the year, where we really were kind of bitter. We were really bitter about not being like in a relationship or having someone interested, right? And then feeling like, what the fuck, like I got everything going on for me and like I still can't find anyone. Like I'm hardworking, I do all this and I worked very hard to get here and no one values that?
You know, yes, 100%. And like, this was the best decision of getting rid of my roster and I realized that like, oh my God, in the first few weeks, it's so hard because you just have that time to yourself. You're just thinking, but it gave me the space to realize like how to see my life and like what I need to do to make me happy and be fulfilled.
On your own.
Yeah. And I realized that like, for years I've just been keeping myself distracted with men. I've just become focused and I'm like, I'm not focusing that on myself. And it's like, that's been going on for years. So
I remember having this conversation in Mexico. Remember, I kind of was like, friend, I had to be honest with her because sometimes, you know, like we're the type of friends that we're not for everybody.
Right.
We're not for everybody because we say how it is. And I'm happy that we're there. Like sometimes it's kind of like, fuck, that hurt.
I know, but
like when she's
coming out of a good spot.
Yeah. Like I'm like, I care a lot about you and I hope you don't get mad and it's none of my business. But you're just using these men as a distraction because you don't want to be by yourself. And like even the other day she like sent me this voice note about this guy she went on a date with and I was I was a little drunk and I was like, you don't even like him, you're just bored, go to sleep.
And I was like, yeah, I don't. I really
and the next morning she was just like, that was funny and you're right, I don't like him.
Yeah. So like having that space and like it's nice to have a friend that's like 100% real with you because not everybody will do that, right? They're like, I don't want to hurt your feelings or whatever, but like I really do appreciate you being honest because I know you care about me.
Yeah, I do. And I'm like, I see her like a sister and I don't want anyone to hurt her. But I'm like, she's putting herself in these situations that I'm like, girl, like you're asking for it.
And vice versa, right?
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, no.
Be like,
Take a step back.
take a step back. And this, like, what did you tell me earlier? I'm saying this because I care about you, but motherfucker's wasting your time.
He's wasting your time. Your pen pal is always going to be a pen pal. Shout out to the pen pal.
Shout out to the pen pal.
Yeah. But so, yeah, healing, right? You have this space to finally realize that, like, you analyze your life and you're like, okay, I see it this way. Like, how am I going to get there? And, like, if I don't find anybody, that's okay. And, like, truly being okay with that.
Because like, in the beginning, like I would be like, and I've talked about it on the podcast. Yeah. We both have in our dating, like we're fine. And
but now we're like really.
But
fine.
Now we're really fine. We were just pretending. We wanted to believe. We were manifesting that we were fine. But now, truly, like we were sitting here. We always have conversations like this that I wish like I would just start recording. But this is just how we truly are in real life. We were talking about. I'm like, before we were little bitter bitches, huh? She's like, yeah, because we were mad about the fact that we've done everything how it's supposed to be. Our parents told us go to school, be independent, get a career. You know, save your money and like be smart with your decisions. Don't get pregnant.
Yeah.
And we've done everything, but one thing that we haven't done and we haven't focused on ourselves. And these past few years, we've been focusing on ourselves, getting to know each other. Like her going to therapy has helped her a lot. Me like going on my self-love journey after being in that relationship for so long. God, like I look back at the person I used to be. I don't recognize her.
You're not her.
No. I mean, we've grown a lot. And how long have we known each other?
Like 6 years now?
Only 6 years? It feels like more. It feels like a lifetime. But like, honestly, you need friends like that. And I know it's hard when you don't have a friend to go through this journey with. But I am so lucky that, you know, Angela was put in my life for a reason. And I feel like we needed each other. We just weren't as open when we met. It took us a while to get there. I feel like I was a little open because I was bien traumada and she was just like, oh my God.
Well, loca. I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
But, you know, considering like you and I met on a trip in Spain.
Yeah.
So that was like a couple of weeks, but we kept in touch. And like I think the reason why we didn't get as deep is because I was always moving.
You're always busy.
Yeah. And so coming back to the IE, like reconnecting, you realize you're like, hey, we have a lot in common.
Yeah, but if you don't have a friend like that, we can be your friends like that.
Oh, yeah.
Your virtual besties over here, like, just know that healing is not easy.
No.
It's very difficult. Getting rid of the roster hurts. And, like, I talked about in a few episodes ago about the guy that I ran into. I was telling Angela how, like, I did not realize how much it affected me until, like, now weeks later that I'm like, whoa, I really needed that closure. And usually I'm like, you don't need closure, you don't need that. Sometimes but I think the universe was like, you need to see this guy and see for who he is and what he did to you because your feelings are valid.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, like, you having that validation that, you know, because betrayal's rough and you're like, I didn't that like I am the prize.
Yeah, like I'm the prize. Why am I letting this guy hurt me who showed me who he was since the beginning? But you know, like me just having history with him and like having this friendship with him, it just like
you cared about
so difficult to like accept that someone that I cared about was willing to hurt me. And that's one big lesson that I learned is like when people show you who they are, believe them
the first time. Believe them the first
like
time.
Okay, you want to talk about your dates?
Yeah. Oh my God. So going on this healing journey, right? Like I work full time. I've been just focused on trying to starting to date again, right? And I went on a date like in July. I came to Melina's and I was here and she's like, girl, let me look at your app. I had like 50 notifications.
Yeah, I was like, let's put some work in.
Yeah, and I'm like, and I was telling her, I'm like, I don't even look at them, like it's just annoying and whatever. She's like, nope. So she helped me, and right away I got a match. And this guy lived in Costa Mesa. I live in the IE. I live in Riverside, and so that was in like the back of my mind. We started talking right away, like great conversation, a lot in common, and he wanted to meet me right away. And I was like, hey, I have plans. So we kept talking for maybe another week, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna go to you. I was even telling her, I was like, I can meet him halfway.
And I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like, one lesson that I learned in dating is like, I think when you're trying to court somebody, like, a man should come to you. And I used to be the type that would be like, I'll meet you halfway. I don't want to inconvenience anybody.
We're
like,
not
fuck
like
that. We're not doing that anymore.
No. So I was like, oh, hey, this man is interested. He's going to come to me. He like rearranged his work schedule to make sure that he was in the area. So we went out on a dinner date, like early dinner, and it was great. I had a great time. We ended up going somewhere else for beers, and he was a gentleman. He kissed me on the cheek, and he was like, hey, I want to do this again. I want to see you. And so we talked. I was going on vacation for like a week in Tulum, and I told him, hey, I'm going to come back this day. So that whole time I was gone.
You're like, maybe he's going to plan something.
Yeah. But we were talking all day, like consistently, right? Literally the day before I come back, he's gone. No, nothing, right? I'm like, whoa. I'm like, well, maybe he's busy, right? 2 days. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, what happened to
like,
him?
is he okay?
We've been talking for like 3 weeks straight, every day, all day. And finally, growth. Growth, being healthy. I talked to my therapist, right? Because I was
You're becoming that person. My therapist said.
My therapist said. But, you know.
Therapists are right.
I know. Usually,
Most
she was
of the
like, well, what's up? And I was like, well, he hasn't texted me in a couple of days. And she goes, well, how would you normally act in this situation? I'm like, well.
Passive aggressive.
I would not text him back and, like, just leave it at that. And she's like, well, wouldn't you feel angry? Like, a little resentment? And I was like,
yes.
Yeah,
yes.
I would. She's like, don't you want to change that? And I was like, ugh, fuck. Yes, I do. And she's like, you know what you have to do? You have to be a little vulnerable.
You're like, vulnerable? What the hell is that?
I don't know how to do that. I've never been vulnerable. So she's like, basically, I sent him a message. I've never done this in my 32 years of life. And I was like, hey, I'm just checking in. Like, are you okay? And he's like, yeah, I'm fine. I've just been busy with work.
Bullshit excuse. I hate when people use that excuse, but it's like, your phone is at the palm of your hand. Even if it's like a good morning, hope you have a good day, I hope you had a good day, sorry it's been busy, whatever.
Right. Exactly.
If you're interested. And
also, like, I'm busy, you're busy, but when we make a priority, like, we stick to it.
We make time for each other. No matter what.
There's no excuse. If it's important to you, they will make time. So I got that response and I was like, ugh.
Ick.
Right? But I'm like, be vulnerable. And so I was like,
really digging deep for the vulnerability that's been hidden for a long.
Right? And I was transparent. I was really proud of myself. I was like, you know what? I'm glad you're okay. You kind of hurt my feelings since, you haven't responded to me, and I value communication. If that's something that you can't do, let me know now. No feelings, hard feelings, whatever. And he responded, and he basically said he's not going to have time. Right?
That reminded me of that guy that I dated and was like, well, I could only give you this.
Yeah.
And I was like,
I don't want that.
Deuces.
When I read that message, I was turned off and I never responded, right? And that really put me in a sour mood. I was hurt because I started feeling this connection with somebody. Emotional connection.
And a lot of people will use you for emotional connection just to get that little high, and they have no intention of getting to know you. And I've noticed that lately a lot of men have been doing that.
Well, there's an epidemic of lonely men right now.
Oh yeah. Nobody cares.
Nobody
cares. Work on yourself and be a better man.
Be a better man. So, after a couple of weeks, I was venting to her. I was like, I'm busy, but I make the time to talk to somebody. You're trying to get to know somebody. And then 3 weeks later, they're gone, and you're like,
and then you don't even like texting, so you were really trying.
I was really trying. And so anyway, I started just getting busy, living my life, and I decided to make my Instagram profile public. I was like, whatever. I don't know why I just did it.
Because somebody could slide in the DMs, because there's a lot of love stories like that.
Yeah, it's open. No, it's closer now, because I got
the DMs are open.
And so anyway, I started seeing this random name start looking at my stories.
It's always like that. That's why I made my personal profile private, because I was getting a lot of weird people like that.
And I was getting this girl name that kept looking at them. She doesn't follow me, but I'm like, who the heck is this? So finally, after a few days of this new follower, I looked at her profile.
And what did you find?
It's a picture of him. On her profile, she has 2 pictures. She has one of him, and it's like, happy birthday, blah, blah, blah. And then a next one of just like some Yosemite trip or something.
And nobody posts like a guy by themselves unless it's your brother or your dad or your primo.
Something.
And even then, it's like rare you post a picture with them. But like that was way too personal.
That was weird. There was no other pictures. And so that kind of gave me the clarity I needed that obviously he is in something or has not ended something.
Wait, you didn't tell them that I did further investigation.
My
My
FBI
FBI
investigator.
AKA me. I'm very good at
She's so
finding
good.
evidence for everyone. Like all my friends always say, like, "Hey, I know this guy's first letter of his name and this is his picture."
Or you should be a PI.
And I find them, and well, she told me, and she's like, "Do you think that they have something going on?" And I'm like, looking. I did my investigative services, and I'm like, "Here's a picture of them. It looks like they're on a triple date." Sure enough, and like I found more, and I'm like, they're definitely a thing at some
Yeah.
point. Maybe they're not like boyfriend and
No,
girlfriend, but they're
something.
something.
Yeah. My PI.
PI,
Found all
hire
the-
me. I'm just kidding. Don't hire me. I have enough on my plate.
But side hustle if
Side
opportunities
hustle
come up.
for real.
So yeah, that gave me the clarity. I'm like, he's obviously in something. It wasn't me. And close that chapter. If he ever does come back, right? Because he knows what I want. He knows what I value. He knows what I expect. And I'm going to call him out. I'm like, hey, this girl, are you done with her?
Not even. Fuck that guy.
Next. On to the next.
What about the last guy
Oh
that
my
you went on a
God.
date with? So she's been pretty like, okay, like you want to date, so you're like putting yourself out there. So what's the difference of putting yourself out there now to like putting yourself out there back then? Would you get more discouraged back then than now, or is it the same?
I think it's different. I think now, like, I truly don't look for, I don't expect anything.
Yeah.
Right? I just go
Keep
in,
your expectations low and your
low.
hopes high.
just, I look at it as like me meeting someone new.
Yeah.
And if we vibe, we vibe. If not, next. Right?
Next.
Versus like before, it's like you start thinking these things.
Like, fuck that, I'm not gonna go dates anymore because these guys are all jerks.
Yeah,
We were like little bitter ladies.
sour.
Yeah. And I think that that's part of the healing where you're like, I'm fine by myself. Si alguien viene, bueno, y si no, no.
Yeah. So if somebody asks me out, I'll go. I'll get a free dinner, free lunch, free company.
Free company.
So the last guy I went on a date with, this one. So back in March, we matched on Hinge, right?
I forgot.
Yeah,
I
that
forgot there was
one.
history.
It was history,
And I already
should've
knew it was
listened
gonna be
to
bad, but I said
Ugh.
go for it, whatever.
I know. I was like, ugh. So we matched, and right away he's like, "Let's meet in person."
And you're like, okay, I
I'm
like
cool.
a man
I
who
don't
like gets to the
I
point.
don't like texting, right? I'm like, yeah, let's just meet in person. He's like, wherever you feel comfortable, coffee shop, whatever. And so right when he chose a coffee shop, he's like, I'm just not ready to date right now. I'm sorry.
First red flag.
I just got out of a relationship. And so I just deleted out onto the next. I'm like, why are you here? So when
we were sitting here,
yeah, back on the whole of Melina cleaning up my
yeah, I'm like, this guy's okay. Oh, you kind of literally whatever I don't like, she likes.
Yeah,
we're
so
good. We're never
we're
gonna
good.
fight over men.
we will never fight over a man. And yeah, will that never happen. So that guy came up on my Hinge again, right? And he's like, I'm like, and she was sarcastic. She's like, ask him, are you ready to start
Oh
dating
yeah,
right
yo soy
now?
peleonera. One of my coworkers is like, "Do you go on the dating apps just to fight men?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I
It's
do."
funny.
I'm like just straight to the point.
Yeah. So that helped, right? And he's like, yeah, I'm ready to start dating. Right? I'm like, well, I'm going on a trip, so I won't be back until this date. When I come back, he actually texts me and he's like, hey, how's it going? And I get the ick when I get a message, like we're just talking about simple things, right? And they just seem overly hyped. And I'm like,
Exclamation marks and everything.
yeah. And I'm
Like settle down. We don't even know each other.
and it's like we're talking about like cheese. And you're like, yeah, you know,
I
you're like,
fucking love mozzarella.
exactly. And you're like, dude, you're trying too hard. So I was turned off and I like never responded to him. I was like, eh. So then like, I don't know, 3 weeks later, he messages me again and he's like, hey, did you still want to go on that date?
And you're like, I'm bored
Yeah. And I was like in my head, I'm watching Insecure, my favorite show.
for the 500th
Yeah.
time.
I love it. And I was like, yeah, okay. And so I met him up for boba. And I met him up for boba. And I get there and I see him. And he doesn't look like his pictures. And also, he's wearing like basketball shorts. And
She didn't tell me
faded
this.
black t-shirt.
Oh,
And I'm like, you know, I'm
like he literally rolled out of bed and was
Yeah.
like, I got a date to go to Zimbabwe.
yeah, that's the impression I got. And anyway, I'm like, oh yeah, a lot of his pictures are far away. Like he was still cute, but like he, you know, you're like, okay. You don't.
I
It's not what I
can work with
expected.
it.
Yeah, right. You're like, I can. Yeah. And so like we spent a few hours together, and the conversation was good. And
you know why it was good? Because Angela knows how to talk to people.
I know I do. I always have a good time talking to
Yeah,
people.
I'm like,
Yeah.
that's how when I go on dates, I'm like, they wasn't bad. But then I'm like, well, I carried the whole conversation. My back is fucking hurting.
Like, I had a good time. I'm good.
I always have a good time with myself.
Yeah. And so after a few hours, I was like, okay. Like I even tried leaving, and he's like, he still wanted to talk, and I'm like, okay, I gotta go to work tomorrow.
Well, yeah, it was
Late.
easy investment. Boba.
Right? Boba. And I'm like, whatever. So a few days later, he like texted me and we started talking again. And like Friday, because we met on a Tuesday, he like says, hey, what are you doing today? And I'm like, actually nothing. I'm like, I don't have any plans. He's like, oh, well, I'm gonna be in your hood. And he's like,
Where was he from?
He's from Chino.
It's not that far.
No, it's not that far. And he's like, I'm gonna be in your hood, so do you want to hang out? And I was like, yeah, cool, I can hang out. He's like, well, I'm gonna have dinner with my friends at 7:30, and so like, do you want to meet at like 8:30 or 9?
Oh, so it wasn't even a for sure time.
Yeah, no. And I was like, I read that and I was like, ew, like you're gonna have dinner, you're gonna have a full dinner, enjoy.
And then I guess we can
I'll
hang
have
out.
one drink. You know, what am I gonna be on standby waiting for you? So I read that and I was like turned off. I'm like, I don't even like you that much. You're supposed to woo me. Right?
Yeah. And he took you to boba for the first date. Come on.
I wasn't that. I was like,
And was it even good boba?
It was all right.
It wasn't even that good. So it didn't matter.
Yeah. And so I responded and I was like, you know what? You have a good time. Have a great time with your friends. I like dates that are thoughtful. And so let's just meet another time. I know. Therapy. Go to therapy.
That's going to be the whole.
Go to therapy. And have a good time. And he was like, I didn't mean to disrespect you. I thought I was being transparent.
He was gaslighting
the situation. Yeah, dude.
I don't want to overuse those words because people always overuse them, but he was trying to make you feel bad.
Yeah. And he's like, I just, basically saying that he goes, I was being thoughtful. I thought of you when
I thought of you because it was going to be convenient for me to see you.
And I saw that. And like the way he wrote it, right? That's why I screenshot. I'm like, am I acting crazy?
And I couldn't respond to her because I was out. But, like, once I did, I'm all like, fuck this guy. Like,
Right.
no. I'm like, he didn't... In the beginning, he was already a red flag. And then he took you to boba. Like, no.
Gross. Yeah. So I never responded to that. And
So what did you learn out of that?
I learned just take the red flag. If you see one thing in the beginning, just take it. Take the first sign.
It's true. I mean, I hate to be critical like that, but like, how many times have I been right about either guys that I've dated? I've said, like, I told Angela, like, she's always kind of like the bigger picture girl, like she's like, you know what, give him a chance. And I'm like, no, he's this, he's that. And then she's like, you're so hard on people. But like, I have a pretty good, like, I'll say, like, I think because of my traumas.
You know what? There's never been a situation where you're like, I was wrong. You've always been right.
Remember the guy that I dated when we went to Mexico in September that turned out like crazy? Mm-hmm. Like, I told her, something about it, just like, it was a kind of love bombing, but like, I told her, I'm like, I'm enjoying it, but there's just something like in my gut that's telling me like, this guy is too good to be true. And sure enough, like the second date, he like got drunk. Remember? Oh my God. And he got mad at me for getting mad at him for driving drunk.
On a Sunday?
When oh my God, the Sunday, trauma. And that guy still tries to like contact me. Like, he'll see me if I go on the dating app, he'll see me and he's like, why did you block me? You know why. I know you still listen to my podcast too, because
shout out to him.
Shout out to you.
Oh my God, yeah. Anyway, so you've always been right.
Yeah, like, honestly, like, I think after like being in a long-term relationship and just taking time to like actually observe people, like, you see the red flags. Antes, like, you know how that guy said, oh, like, I was trying to think of you. I would have been like, oh my God, he's thinking of me. Like, how sweet.
2013 Angela would have been like, oh, 9:00, okay, I'm gonna wait for you.
And then waiting at the door con los tacones y todo puesto, just waiting for the text. And like, he never texts.
No, I don't do that anymore.
So if you are like waiting for a guy, like, honestly, like, I feel like a guy who's interested is gonna make the effort. Like, what I was telling her is that back then I would be like discouraged, right? If I meet a guy, I go on a date, and then like oh my God, all men are horrible. But in back of my head, I knew they weren't, but I was a little bitter about it. And I would be like, I don't want to date anymore. Like, it's not even worth it. But right now, I'm at the point where I'm like, I am so fulfilled in my life
Yeah.
and I am so busy that if I'm giving you my time is very valuable. And you guys know because with the podcast and everything, I always talk about how I don't have time for anything because I don't.
It's been 3 weeks since we've seen each other.
Yeah, and then all my car troubles and all that.
We've
Thank
been
God we don't have that
busy.
anymore. But like we haven't been able to, like we said we are gonna hang out every Thursday, but last Thursday I was like, girl, like I'm just exhausted. And like I had planned to go hang out with her and like sometimes it just doesn't happen. So if I'm giving you my time, value
It's
it.
valuable.
And you're never gonna get that back. So if you're entertaining a crusty dusty, stop entertaining them. It's not even worth it.
It's not even worth it.
The guy who's
Not even worth it.
not worth it, not worth it. Don't give your time up because
You're never gonna get that back.
no, like if you could give advice to your 20s, right? Because now we're in our 30s and I remember people used to always tell us like things are different when you're 30 and I'm like whatever you old bitches. But these old bitches are telling you
Oh yeah.
everybody who tells you that is right. What would you tell your 20-year-old self in regards to like dating, love life? What would you tell her?
You're the prize. He is supposed to impress you and court you. You don't be worried about if he likes you. He wouldn't be talking to you if he didn't.
Do you even like him?
Do I even like him?
And I think that question is funny because like I was telling Angela, sometimes we just like the high of getting someone's attention. And when you take that out and you're like, wait, do I like this person in front of me? You don't. Like I've hung out with guys and then I just have this sudden realization that I'm like,
It was
I
all
don't
in
even
here.
like you.
It was all in here. I made them.
I like freaking arranged all our plans and how we're gonna have a life together when I don't even like who you are. And then also like what I've learned is that if a guy doesn't have anything going on in their life, they're boring.
They're boring. Yeah. You need to have this man. Your man needs to have hobbies, like
and
goals.
you need to have hobbies too.
You do too.
I didn't have hobbies before.
No.
And
yeah.
I hate to bring up my ex, but he would tell me like, you have no hobbies, you don't have this, you don't have friends, you don't have that. And then I was like,
Oh my God.
I realized that like I did give a lot of myself to that relationship and I didn't take care of my friendships. And then at the end, what happened to me?
Mm-hmm.
I started like, hey friends, like I'm here, hi.
Yeah.
And not that like other stuff had happened to me between friends, but like I didn't focus on my friendships. And one thing that I'll tell my 20-year-old self is to focus on making those friends like Angela, like Amanda, that I can call and be like, hey friend, like I need to talk to you. I'm having a rough day. Like I just want to cry. Like,
yeah.
and
give
you
that
call
space.
them and like having a partner is important, but it's not the end of the world if you don't have one yet. If you haven't found your person, like she said, there's an epidemic about lonely men.
Of lonely men.
And you were talking to somebody that's older than us, right? And they were in the same spot.
Yeah. So, yeah. Basically, I was talking to my cousin, and she's in her late 30s, and same thing, right? I think one more thing before we get onto that is like, what would I tell my 20-year-old self? I truly believe that he has to love you more, because right now what you said is like, I didn't have any hobbies. Like I gave so much of my time to him, and women, we're not natural nurturers.
Yeah.
If we love something, we'll put 110% into it. And if the man doesn't love you as much, he won't put 110. He'll put like 50, not even 50.
And you'll still take
20.
it.
You'll take it because you're like, it's from him. But if he loves you more, he'll give you anything. He'll make all your problems go away.
Have you seen that video of that girl that says if a man truly loves you, he'll find a solution for every problem that you have? You're fine.
Yeah. Yeah,
And it's true. It's true because like I see like how my uncle is with my aunt and like always finding solutions for everything. And I'm like, wow, like he loves her, you know? And you have to find your person. And even if it takes forever or even if it never happens and your person is yourself, like
that's
screw
okay.
it.
And going like there is an epidemic of lonely men right now, and think about it, like men don't share, like they don't have conversations like this where it's like, how are you feeling? Oh, that happened to you? It's very simple. Like they're just simple surface level conversations. And so what they're doing is when they text a woman, they call her, they're trying to have that emotional connection because they're not getting it with their friends. And luckily for women, like we have that. And so like if we don't find a man, that's okay because we have our relationships with our girls. But that is what will keep us
going. And that's the hard part about now, that I feel like back in the day, like our parents, and my mom says no, but like even like I asked her, well, my grandma, did she love my grandpa, you know, like her dad? Because I only met him once, but she's like, no, I think he only wanted her because it was convenient. She knew how to cook. She was like way younger than him. And I was like, my parents, they did love each other in the beginning. And I'm sure they still love each other now. But like, they got married because it was a thing that people did. Like, they never really got to know each other to the point. Like, now, like, you know, we could do. A man is only an addition to our life, and it has to be like someone that brings value to your life. And back then,
add to it.
So make sure that you're working on yourself, and like she said, like healing is all about who am I? What do I like to do? Get to know yourself. And I know people like keep saying like, oh, self-love, but it's true. It really is, because now that we're like healing, like we're like past that hump, we're like, I don't care anymore. Like, I like hanging out with Angela. I like hanging out with Amanda, my coworkers. Like, that fulfills me, my family. And like, the world does not revolve around having a partner, and you don't need a partner anymore. And we're not saying like, oh no, fuck love, because we do want love.
It's beautiful. Love is beautiful.
Love is beautiful, but don't settle for less.
Don't settle. If it's not what you want, if it doesn't make you happy, 100% happy, it doesn't add value, don't settle.
Like, I've seen people who are happy, and like, I mean, no relationship's ever gonna be perfect, but like, I have like older friends at work, and they're like, look, my husband is not perfect, but look, he's there for me. He helps me with the kids. Like, I like hanging out with him. We could be doing nothing and I have fun. And that's the type of relationship that I want. Like, I don't care about like, you know, like value, like luxury stuff or whatever. If someone buys me that, and a lot of people are like, use men for money, and I'm like, I could buy this shit on my own. Right. Like, if he comes with money, like that's a plus. That's a plus. I'm not saying no to like rich men. So if any rich men want us, holla at us.
Box.
PO box, DMs, whatever. You know.
Right.
You know where to find us.
But yeah, you're looking for a genuine connection, somebody just to hang out with and do things that you guys like to do.
And one thing I have seen, even though there is lonely men, there is a lot of men that are working on themselves. So I'm not going to say that there's not, because I see a lot of friends that I have on like social media and stuff. And I see how vulnerable they're being. And like, I like that. Like, vulnerability is hot.
It's so difficult. Yeah. You hurt my feelings. Like, no. And you're like, afterwards, you're like, yeah.
And then the response that you would have wanted were like, wow, I'm so sorry I hurt your feelings. Like, I know what you like.
Right.
So like, I really like you. So let me get to know you. And like, he could have switched it so much better, but he didn't, because he didn't care. He was entertaining you. Yeah.
Exactly. But I'm glad I was vulnerable, because I got my answer and I didn't invest any additional time. And on to the next. If I were old me, it'd be a cycle, right? Oh, he texted me. Oh, yeah.
That little high,
exactly.
Yeah, like I think that once you're in that healing journey, you're very upfront about what you want, and you're very like, this is what I want, and if you can't give me this, peace. And that's a great place to be, and I'm really proud of how far we've come. 9 months. This year has been traumatizing for us. And we thought we were gonna be like dating, like we're saying we're gonna date all these guys, and then we're gonna have so much fun, and it's not even about anything. And
I mean, we're healing, right?
Yeah,
but like,
and
for
I
real
think that's
healing.
even better. Yeah,
I think I look at it now as like, I'd rather be strong and healed and like
ready for the right person.
Because I don't want to be I don't want to say shambles, but like a work in progress, and then meet somebody and I'm like, not the person I should be, but like want to be. Yeah.
I mean, you could still meet that person if they're willing to work with you. Like, that says a lot. Like, relationships can grow from that. I see many people work through stuff and like get to where they want to be and love each other, but like, it's not the end of the world if you haven't found anybody. So if you're feeling like lonely and like be like, oh, I'm never gonna find anybody, like, we're all in the same boat, pero le tenemos que echar ganas.
Hell yeah. You're not alone. You know, like, you may feel alone, but hey, we're trying to find love as well. You know, I believe that everybody deserves love, and that there's someone for everyone.
Maybe sometimes there's more than one. You know, get a divorce.
Polygamy. I'm just kidding.
Shut up. I mean, it's getting to the point where I'm willing to share. No, just kidding. Well, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's episode. I really enjoyed having Angela back. It's always so easy to do an episode with her because this is literally how we
talk
are
all the
on the
time.
regular. Like, we should just have mics next to us. Maybe we'll invest in some so
Maybe
that way
we
we could
will.
just be like, let's
Some-
record this conversation. Because we always say we should have a mic right here, right now.
Some good combos for sure.
I hope you guys have an amazing week. We'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.